Good afternoon, all students. Uh, we will continue with this topic of structures in C in today's lecture. So far we have seen what structures are in C, how we can create structures, the C syntax for creating structures. And then in the last lecture, we discussed one more example in addition to the example that we had discussed earlier. And um, we also saw what array of structures are in C and how do we create array of structures. After that, we saw how to pass array of structures as parameters to functions. And then we again extended the example discussed using array of structures. So today we'll see one more example. We'll take one more example on array of structures. And then we will move on to structure pointers as parameters to functions. So how do you have structure pointers in function parameters? And also an example based on the same. So starting with the next example. So please look at this question, which is on my screen. Uh, so you have to write a program in C to read records of n employees from the user, and each employee record will consist of these fields: the employee number, e number, the name of the employee, his department name, and his salary. So what we have to do is we have to write user defined functions for the following points. First is reading employee or n employees, printing employees and employees. Okay, so either you write one function, call it in another, or you write two functions. Okay, so we have already seen examples of this in the last lecture, how to read n users and n a single user. We have seen that is just a revision of the same, but for this employee, for another structure, that is employee structure. And lastly, which prints the highest salaried employee in a given department. So the third function, you have to print the highest salaried employee in a given department. Okay, so let us see how to solve this question. So this is our employee structure that we have created. Okay, so whatever, based on the question, whatever is given in the question, we have created this employee structure. So you have employee name, a number, which is an int. It could be a array of characters as well, depending on how your employee number is. If it is a simply an integer, then you can use int, or you can use another type. If it is a combination, if it is alphanumeric, then you can use a string array of characters. Okay, second is e name, then you have department, and then you have the salary. Salary could be double, float, any of these types. Okay, so first step is you create the employee type, which you I think by now you are familiar with this kind of a construct. Then is you have to read employees. So for reading employees, this is the function. So what we will do is we will combine the two functions into one only now. So we'll see the third way of writing the function. So void read employee, employee type followed by the array name, and then in the number of employees that you want to read. So your loop will go from 0 to n. Okay, inside this you will prompt the user to enter the employee number, the employee name, the department, and the salary. So you will have the salary at the end, and enter the salary. So the salary will be of type double. So this will be %lf, and this will be dot sal. Sal is the component for salary. Okay, so %lf, remember that these are strings, %s, %s, so address of operator is not used here. However, these two are integers, so you have to use the address of operator here. So this is about reading employees. Similarly, for printing employees, you will create one more function. We'll call this print employee. So wherever there is, the changes will be wherever there is a printf, you will have a scanf. You will remove the address of operators. So the employee number you will write, you will printf. Wherever there is a scanf, you will write printf. We'll remove this, and instead of enter, I'll remove all enters and replace with a new line everywhere. So this is our function for printing all n employees. I hope you can recollect what we have discussed in the last lecture. I have also passed on the slides to you. So I hope you have gone through the slides. So and the programs as well. I've passed the programs as well. So this is print employee. And the third question was, going back to the third question. Third question is, you have to write a function to print the highest salaried employee in a given department. So basically, the function should have the database of employees first. It should have as parameter the database of employees. So it will have the array of employees as a parameter. It will have the size of the array as a parameter. And it will have the department name as a parameter, as a third parameter. Okay. So let us try to write this function now. I hope I am audible. Can I get a few yeses on the chat? Okay. So coming back to this function. So we are simply printing, we are not returning any value. So what we are writing is find highest employee. Okay. Highest sal, whatever. Okay, you give it a good name, and then you put the parameters. These parameters will be common. And third parameter will be a string of the department name, right? So department, in which department you have to also pass, from which department you want the highest salary employee. So that will help us in searching easily. That query can be easily fired. Okay. Now, one thing to note here is, since department is a string, you do not need to put the length of that string. Usually for arrays, we put the length as one more parameter, but since department is a string, you can always find the length of the string using strlen. Okay. And we do not need the length here in any case. We'll be using a string library function, string compare, strcmp, to compare the departments. We are going to compare the department names. That means whatever that user has entered with the actual names present in the database, right? So if the department name is, for example, if there are 4 departments A, B, C, D, if there are 4 departments A, B, C, D in the company, then suppose the user wants to search the highest salaried employee in department B. So in that case, B will be the string with which it will be compared, okay, from all the records. So again, since we are searching through this database is an array, so we'll use a loop. So we'll just use the loop here. So what we will do is, in this database, we will write an if condition. If strcmp to compare the employees department, so employees means e underscore array of I dot department, okay, with the given department, whatever is there in this query, okay, if it is equal to 0. If they are same, that means string compare strcmp returns a 0. If it is equal to 0, and at the same time you have to compare the department, and then at the same time you have to see if the salary of the employee is the highest or no. So you have to find the employee with the highest salary. So what you will do is, for that we will create one variable here which matches the type of, or what we can do is, instead of creating a variable of only salary, because we want to print the employee details, we want to print the employee number as well as the employee name, what we will do is, we will say employee type one temporary variable et or e highest, highest whatever, okay, one variable we will create, and highest salary we will set to 0 initially, okay, because this employee salary only you have to compare every time, and then you have to save the corresponding employee to this employee, right? So this employee initially, let us assume salary is 0. So salary is 0. So if this employee, the current employee's employee records department matches the department to be searched, and in addition to this, if the current highest employee salary is less than the current employee's salary, that means the current employee salary exceeds the currently stored salary, okay, then you need to swap. Then you need, what you need to do, you need to replace the highest employee's record with this new record. So what you will do is, highest is equal to simply e array of I. Now what we have done is, simply we have done a assignment. So initially whatever is there, it is in this variable. Initially everything is empty, it is garbage, and only the salary is 0. But after we do this, after we write this statement, the very first record that will be compared. So for example, I'll just give you one example here. Suppose these are the list of records, okay, employee number 1 is having some name XYZ, department A, and salary 20,000, okay, just an example. ABC, some department A, 20,000, 30,000, okay, something like this. 3 is PQR, okay, employee maybe department B having 40,000, okay. 4 is again something, okay, department C. Like that you have records, okay, and number of records. You have records in your database, in your array. Now what you're going to do, suppose you want to find the highest salaried employee from department A. Suppose the query is, I want to find the highest salary employee from department A. So what I will do is, initially in my temporary variable highest, it's the type of this temporary variable is a struct type. The salary I have set to 0. Salary is 0 initially. Then what I'm doing, I'm comparing this highest dot salary with e of I dot e array of I dot salary. So first record will be, I will be 0, right? This will be the first record. So this record salary, that is this, I'm comparing with this. Now, if this highest salary, if it happens to be less than this, if this salary happens to be less, then I need to replace this, right? So once I replace this, what will happen? my highest salary, the entire highest, this record will be something like this. In this, you will have 1, you will have XYZ, you will have A, you will have 20,000. Earlier it was this. It was something, I don't know, garbage. I don't know what this was. I don't know what this was. And this was 0. Salary was 0. This was the record earlier. This was the variable values. These were the component variable values of the components of this variable highest. Okay. Initially, we don't know what it was. Only salary I had set to 0. Now what I have done, I have replaced this entire thing with these new values, right? So current highest employee of department A is this first record. Okay. Now what happens is, after I do this, I will check for the second record in my database. I will compare now this record with this highest. Is the department A? Yes. Is the department A? Yes. Okay. Is the salary of this highest less than this salary? Yes. That means the highest now is this record. So this highest will now change to 2 ABC A and 30,000. Okay. The same process will keep on continuing. Okay. Now, again, it will check for third. Is the department A? No. So it will ignore this record because it will not care about the second condition. I have put an and in between, right? If the first one is false, then I don't need to see the second condition. So it will ignore this. If there are any more further records with A, then it will again do this kind of a comparison. Now for this data set, that small data set that I've created, the answer is this. So final answer in highest will be this. Okay. So once I do this, I'll get the highest salaried employee in a particular department. This is the logic. So let us now that I've written this logic, let us convert this logic into code quickly. So what I've done is highest is equal to E array of I. The same logic is converted. So string compare I use for comparison of the department names. Then this kind of a comparison for comparing the salaries. And then what I've done is highest is equal to E array of I. So this will directly assign this entire record into this. This will put all the values into this. Then what you do is, one more thing is, after I write this, what if you have to also take care of the case where the user is putting something which is not there only in the database. For example, user puts the department name as X. Suppose user puts the department name of X, it is not present only in the data set. So how will you understand? You will understand that if you have by using a flag, you can keep a flag here, or what you can do is, rather than keeping a flag, what we will do is flag you can do. Flag is equal to 1. I'll show this method. I'll show both methods. Flag is equal to 0 before going in. Okay. Only if flag is equal to 1 have I reached this comparison. That means if condition was never true, then the first condition was never true. If was never reached, that means this string compare, this condition was never true. That means this department, it was never present only. Whatever department was entered was never present only. That is why this flag is very useful for checking whether whether or not this department is present or not in this database. So what you do is, you at the end of this for loop, you simply check the flag. Only if flag is equal to 1, okay, only if flag is equal to 1, then you will print the employee details. Okay, so what you can do is, you can call the print function. Which print function? Okay, I have not written that print function. So see, I have to rewrite again, because I have written print employees, all employees it will print. Okay, this function is a generic function which will print all employees. It will not print a single employee. So I have not written that kind of a function. So I simply have to put this, pull this up and put it here. Okay. So instead of E array of I will write highest. right? Highest highest is that variable which is storing the highest salaried employees details. Okay, so wherever there is e array of I, I'll use highest. Highest. Otherwise, you will say wrong department, right? Okay. So otherwise, you say that the department name was wrong. So using the flag, you're using a flag in your program, it becomes very easy to write this kind of a code. So what you will do is, this is your find highest salary. Now we have to call these functions one by one. What we will do is, first we'll call read employee. So let us keep one n value. N is equal to n. You can take user from user. Enter the number of employees. Enter n. I'll just write enter n. Okay. Printf. Sorry. That should be a printf and this should be a scanf. Address of n. And this should be a printf. Right. Once I read the number of employees, I will do the readm function. I will call with this array, whatever I've created, e comma n. I'll read n employees, then I will print all these n employees. And then what I will do is, I need to ask for a department, right? So what I will do is, I will create a department string variable here. Okay. I will ask okay, so it will be %s and I will say not address of, since it's a string, no address of. Printf, enter the department name. Okay, once I take this, I will call the find highest salary. Find highest salary, the arguments are, there are three arguments: the employee array, the number of employees, and the department name. So I will say E comma N comma DEPT. This is my department name. Once I do this, I'll quickly run the program. Okay, so it will be, so it has run, the program has run. Now compiled actually, now I'll run it. So it is asking for enter employees, number of employees. Suppose I say 5, employee number 1, employee name, ABC, department. I'll just put ABCD so it is easy. The department names actually can be the entire department names, but here I'm just taking ABCD so that I quickly show the simulation to you. Department name is A, salary is the same thing what we have used, entered department something XYZ W whatever, department name is B suppose, and salary is 35,000, and then 3, I have asked for 5 employees, right? So 30,000, oh sorry, employee name I put as 30,000. Okay, employee department will be A, and then salary as 30,000. Employee is from number employee number, some employee number 4. The employee name is something Okay, department is again say C now. Salary is 50,000. An employee number 5 is from department A. Okay, so give me a name, give it a name, and then department A. Okay, or say department B, and then salary is something. Okay, what I have done is I've printed everything. Okay, I've printed everything and then enter the department name. So suppose I say A, then the employee, okay, so employee number is wrongly read. Okay, I have written E now. Okay, what I have done is, I'm so sorry. In this program, I forgot to change this to E number. That is why it is overwriting it. But still, it is working. This is only the thing is this is getting changed. This I have written instead of E name, I had written E number by, sorry, instead of E number, I had written E name by mistake. Now it is fine. Everywhere I changed it to E number. Okay, so now it is fine, but still it is giving me the correct department, correct salary, highest salaried employee. Only thing is this was a garbage now. This is a garbage because the salary was 30,000. The highest salary was 30,000 for department A. If you see in these records, okay, the highest salary for department A was a 30,000. Okay, only thing is I just jumbled this up. So this was garbage when it was printed. The employee numbers were garbage everywhere because I forgot to write into the employee number. Okay. Okay. Any doubt so far? Any doubts in this example? Please type on chat. Any doubts? Highest salary was 50,000 for some other department. The department name that I mentioned was department A. Enter the department name. It was A. Okay. 50,000 was in department C. If I had I asked about C, it will give me the correct answer. Okay. Any other doubt? Or you have followed this example, hopefully. The code anyways will be shared with you. So you have to go through this once. Okay. So I'll proceed with the next topic. Any other doubts? Okay. Okay. So this is your employee example. You can also write several such functions related to that. I will give you that as an assignment. Okay, today I will give you assignment on structures because we'll be finishing structures and we'll talk about unions in the next lecture. Okay, so next is pointer to a struct. Like we create pointer variables of primitive types like int, double, char, float, we can also create pointers to structure variables. So whatever structure type that you create, you can create a pointer of that type. Okay, so the syntax is as usual, type name star, the star, the pointer operator followed by the pointer name and semicolon for completing the variable declaration. Okay, so for example, if emp was our type, then emp star e. If emp was a type of the structure, then you use emp star e. So E is a pointer variable of type emp. Okay. Now, if you're using struct, if you're not using type def, then you have to use struct emp star E. If you're using type def, then you can directly use emp star E. Emp, I mean, whatever it is. Now here I had used emp underscore t. So this should be emp underscore t. Okay. What I will do is this should be emp underscore t with type def. If I'm not using type def, then it will be struct emp star e. Okay, this is without using type def. Okay, without using type def, you have to use the struct keyword again. Next is, how do you access the individual components of the structure using a structure pointer? Okay, so using a structure pointer, you have to make use of the star operator as well, the indirection operator. So how to use is, the dot component name remains, this part remains the same, dot. Only thing is, it should, instead of the variable name, it will be star of pointer dot component name. Okay, star of E, for example, if E is the pointer name, it will be star of E dot E name. It will be star of E dot E name to access the name of the employee. Okay. There is a shorthand notation for this. Since this looks a little complicated, the shorthand notation for this is the arrow operator. So arrow operator is basically a hyphen followed by a greater than symbol. So you can see here, a hyphen followed by a greater than symbol is nothing but the arrow operator, which is a replacement, shorthand replacement for the star of dot. The star of dot is replaced by this arrow operator. Okay, so the syntax is simply the pointer name. It becomes simple. Simply the pointer name followed by the component name. So if E is the pointer name, then it will be E arrow E name. You do not have to use the star and dot, and it becomes very simple. So you just have to remember that if your structure variable is a normal variable, it's not a pointer variable, then you simply say structure variable dot component name. And if your structure variable is a pointer variable, then it has to be structure pointer variable arrow component name. Okay, so this is pointer to a struct. Now this pointer to a struct we will use in the next example. So this is about pointer to a struct. We will use this in the next example, and this is the example. So the example is, it's a very simple example. You simply have to create a structure called 2D point. Okay, and you have to write user defined functions for these. Okay, first is reading a 2D point, and second is find the distance between 2 points. Okay, now notice that in each of these questions you have to make use of a structure pointer. So how to do this we will see. So basically what we will do is, our parameters in the functions will be structure pointers. Okay, so going back to the code, okay, what we will do is, we'll quickly create that point struct. We'll call it point, right? And it's a 2D point, so we'll have two coordinates, x and y coordinates, as the components of the structure. So it will be x comma y, double x comma y. Now what we will do is, we'll call this as point type, point underscore t. Okay, once we do this, okay, just put the main here. Okay, there are two functions that we have to write. One is for reading 2 points. Okay, And second is for finding the distance between 2 points. Now each of these functions have to use structure pointers. So what we will do is, first function we will write. First function is read point. Okay. Now, since they are using structure pointers, these functions, it means that you have to use the parameters to these functions. The parameters to these functions should be structure pointers. Okay, so what we will do is we will create point underscore t star t. Read point is a single point. Read point will read a single point. So what we will do is we will use a structure point here. Okay. So what we will assume that this read point will be called through the main, and the main function will actually pass the address of a point variable to this function. We will see. So what we will do is in main we will create a point type variable say p1. Okay. Now this variable's address we will pass as a parameter to read point. So what we are doing, read point address of p1. Okay. So what kind of an assignment will take place? Once this function is invoked, what kind of an assignment will take place? P is equal to address of p1. So this structure pointer p, whatever I have created as the parameter, this will indirectly point to this variable, which is in mains memory. Okay. P is equal to address of p1. Now what we will do is inside this, we will simply write the scanf statements, printf scanf statements. We can borrow it from somewhere. Okay, printf scanf. Okay. Printf enter something, enter x coordinate, right? Enter x coordinate, and this is how this example demonstrates how to use structure pointers as parameters to functions and use them effectively in a program. So this example demonstrates that. So percent, since it is double, percent %lf. Now what we have to do is to access, I told you, to access the individual components, you use, if it is a pointer type, what will you use? You will use the arrow operator. That is, arrow operator is nothing but hyphen followed by greater than symbol. So this is the arrow operator, and you will have x. P arrow x will give me this. Okay, this component of the structure. Now P arrow x, you are writing inside scanf and it is a double type. So you should write address of P arrow x. Okay. Address of P arrow x, since it's a double type. I'll tell you how this works shortly. Enter the y coordinate. Again, y coordinate, this will change to address of P arrow y. Okay. So how this works is, first of all, in main you are writing this kind of a call. So what you're doing is, this variable you've created in main, so there is memory allocated for this. And what you've done is you have given a call to read point with this variable's address. Now since this variable's address is passed to read point, you simply have in read point this kind of an allocation. So what happens in read point is P is equal to address of P1. So this pointer variable is given a valid address, a structure type's address, a point's address. Okay, a point variable's address it is given. So now it is initialized. This pointer P is now initialized. Okay, so now it is pointing to this memory actually. So then what you're doing, you are saying enter the x coordinate, and you have written inside scanf P arrow x. So P arrow x will give you what? It will give you nothing but P1 dot x. P arrow x will be P1 dot x, because this is pointing to this. Okay. And then what happens is, since it is inside scanf, you're putting the address of operator. That's the only thing. If this were not inside scanf, it's simply printing, then you don't need to put this address of operator. If you're simply printing, we'll see it later. We just need to put the address. We just need to say p arrow x, p arrow y, like that. Okay. So whatever you have written here, this is passed here. So p arrow x in effect means p1 arrow x, p1 dot x, sorry, p1 dot x. Okay. So this actually this function will read the x and y coordinates, and then you want to read not 1 point but 2 points using read point. So we'll call this function twice, once with p1 and second time with p2. We will call it twice, and then we are in a position to find the distance between 2 points. Okay. So the next function is distance points. Okay. Distance between 2 points. We'll take, again the question says use pointers. Okay. Structure pointers. So we will say point star ptr2. Okay. Inside this, you will simply compute the distance. So to compute the distance, you simply have to say, I'll just write it. You can write it using a single return statement. Return the difference of x coordinate squares plus y coordinate square, the square root of that. So you have to use sqrt. So you need to include mat.h for this. Okay. So here what you will do, double some distance. Okay. And what you will do, you will say distance is equal to the first point's x coordinate. So that will be ptr1 arrow x minus the second point's x coordinate. So ptr arrow x, this square. Okay. Square. So what we will do is, we can use power, the power function. Okay. Or you can write this into this, the same bracket in multiplied by the same bracket. Twice you can write it if you don't want to use power. Okay. Plus the same thing, power function with the y coordinates. The y coordinates, and this entire thing, the square root of this. The square root of this. So this is one power, second power, square root of this, and that is the distance. Okay. And you will return distance. So if you're returning distance, the return type of this function will become double. Okay. So you return the distance. Okay. And what you can do here is, you can call this function inside a printf, and you can say the distance between them is whatever. Function call, it returns type double, so %lf. So function call inside printf, distance points p1 followed by p2. So address of p1 followed by address of p2. So wherever, since it's a pointer, we will pass the addresses of these points. Since this is a pointer parameter, you need to pass the address. So what kind of an assignment takes place? PTR1 will be equal to address of P1 and PTR2 is equal to address of P2. This kind of an assignment will take place. The semicolon. And this ends the program. Okay. So if you run this, the distance between 2 points, so PTR dot C what is the error? Okay, wait. Some error it is showing. Pointer 2, pointer 1, pointer 2. Okay. This has to be pointer 2. Okay. Here I do not require, this is Windows. I do not require the mat.h-lm here actually. So suppose the x coordinates are, wait, I will just clear the screen again and show it to you. Okay. Fine. This is the thing. X coordinate 3, y coordinate 4, x coordinate 4, y coordinate 5. Okay. So distance is 1.414. You can verify it. 1 square, 3 minus 4, x coordinates ka difference, 3 minus 4, the whole square, that is 1 square, plus 4 minus 5, the whole square, that is 1 square, root of 2. Root of 2 is 1.414. Fine. So this is the program which demonstrates pointers, structure pointers, which can be passed, which can be used as function parameters. And while calling these functions, you have to pass the addresses of variables. So what you have noticed here is, for the advantage of this is, you do not need to return anything. Okay, if you're passing some pointer, some address as a parameter, since this pointer is pointing to this address, this variable's address, it will make all the changes in this memory itself. So you do not need to return a point. On the other hand, if it were a simple thing that we had done, simple user that we saw, read user, did we have something like this? Yeah, read user, if you remember, this was the read user function. We had to return this, we have to create this here and return it here. It did not take anything here. So this pointer parameter, if you have, you can directly pass something from here and modify it through the function. You're modifying this variable p1, which is in some other function's memory. In this case, it is in the main function's memory. You are modifying p1 through this function, which is having a pointer to it. Okay, so that is the advantage. So you do not need to return anything. So the return type could be easily void for this. On the other hand, this function, actually you do not require any to compulsorily pass the addresses. You can directly pass p1 and p2. Okay, but since the question says that use structure pointers, we have passed the addresses. If the question does not mention that use this, then you're free to use whatever you want. So as a thumb rule, whenever you want to make changes, to some variable in main or in some other function via some function, so you are wanting to change this, right? P1 you want to change, then you can go for structure pointers. But if you do not want to make any changes, then you can go for normal variables. So you need to use a pointer type there. Okay, so this is about this example. So any doubts you have, please type on chat. Any doubts? Okay, so what I will do is, so this with this we come to the end of this lecture and structure as well. So there's one exercise, you can try this exercise. I'll share the slides with you. It's about creating students structures. Okay, and do some exercise, lowest average marks wise or something, highest to lowest average marks wise. Okay, so basically what you have to do is you have to find the average of each student's marks. It's a student record structure. You have to find the marks are there in 3 subjects for each student. Okay, and what you have to do is you have to display students from highest to lowest average marks wise. So average marks you have to first compute for each student 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you have to display in the descending order of marks. That means you have to sort this array. This problem is of sorting. So whatever sorting technique you have used, bubble sort or selection sort that you have studied, now you apply this to the array of structures. So you try this example. If you are having doubts, you can ask me via mail for this example. Okay, just read this example and try it at home. And now what I will do is I will share this link with you of this Google form where everyone who is present has to answer it, and then you can leave the chat. Okay, so let me first share it quickly with you. Please give this quiz. Okay, can you please increase the time for SPA quiz? Uh, this will not happen, I think, for this exam because I don't know. The number of users logged on at that time, ISC might be many users actually, all 4 branches. So that is why it might be a load on the system. But now it should not happen. But we will see if at all you're not able to answer, you have to inform your teacher at that time. So only 2 classes were there. It should not happen actually, because we have conducted many times. Okay. See, at that point of time, usually we have kept in the morning slot, so network issue should not be there. But still, if you are facing at that point, see, so you give the quiz. My suggestion is you give the quiz. If you're facing some problems, then at that time only you report it to us, your respective batch teacher, whoever takes your lab, you report it to them. Then we'll take care of, when we'll see what can be done. Okay, so you give the quiz for now. I will also talk to the admin to see if something can be done about this lag. Navigation of questions will not be allowed. One question at a time you will see. You will see one question at a time, you cannot navigate. Please answer in the quiz and leave the chat. Because that quiz is your attendance. So if you do not give the quiz, you will not get attendance for today's lecture. How many questions for half an hour? 20 questions. You'll have 20 questions. See, actually, this ISC quiz is 2 marks. 2 marks each experiment. So from experiment 4 to 8, you have not finished. So 4 to 8. So each experiment, there are 2 marks. So there'll be 4 questions per experiment in the quiz. Okay, so 4 into 5 is 20 questions. Each question carries 0.5 marks. No negative marking.